and we're glad that people are joining us. And again, if you've just joined us, we're trying some new things. Jess says, I hear Dave. Dave, can you say something?
Yeah. I'm saying it, but you can't hear me.
Jess, let me know if you heard Dave. I hear him. I don't
Yeah.
hear you, Dave.
I'll mute myself. I'll bet. I don't know if
This is very
Jessica can hear.
strange.
If Jess can hear me,
This is very
tell him
strange.
I'll mute myself because I don't want my mic
Okay,
open
the
in the
only person
background.
I
We
hear
can all
is
hear
Dave.
him. My guess is that his
Roger is doing some
his
changing, so he'll be with us.
his mic is open, but his volume must be off or muted
Okay.
for the rest for incoming volume, I guess. I don't know.
Dave,
Anyways, I'm gonna mute
you're
myself.
talking now. I can see that, but I don't hear you. And now you're muted. Okay. Good evening, everybody. I'll tell you what, if you can hear me, would you do me a favor? Would you raise your hand? I see Dave raising his hand. Marissa, could you raise your hand if you hear me? Okay. I see a few people raising their hands. Okay. Ashley, Cassie, Deanna, could you raise your hand if you hear me so we can get started? Okay. Because we're having some issues. Hang on one second. What's going on? Okay. I'm going to hang up. Bye-bye. Raj, he's really Raj is offline at the moment, but he says you can hear Dave, you can hear me. Okay, well, whatever. Hey, it's 8 o'clock, so what we're going to do is hopefully Raj will join us. He'll send me a text or something, let me know. And she said maybe if you make sure your volume is turned up on your mic, Raj, we'll see what's going on. Anyhow. This is, again, the Sunday night webinar, and we're glad you're here. And we don't know exactly what's happening sound-wise, so we hope that you can hear us. And we hope Raj will be joining us shortly. So, and with that, we'll get started. My name's Gene Colbago. Raj will be with us, we hope, shortly. This is February 23rd, Web 206, I believe. I got to move things out of the way so I can see it. And today, this evening, what we're going to do with, we're going to deal with some items dealing with especially the ESL and ELL learners, and hope to give you some ideas, some things that you might be able to use in your classes. And the other teachers, we're glad you're here just as well, and maybe you can get some ideas. Hey, the first thing I'm going to do is, I always minimize my website PowerPoint here, but I'd like to show you something on PowerPoint, especially, well, it works for ESL, it works for ELL, and it may be working for anybody who wants to show a PowerPoint show. Now, this is a regular PowerPoint show, but if you have tried this, you can actually put subtitles underneath a PowerPoint show to show what you are saying. And you can put them in various languages. How do you do that? Well, first of all, up at the top, the file, home, and so forth, go over to slideshow, click on that. Over to the right, notice this group of commands here. Always use subtitles. I'm going to click on that. Now, I am going to go to the subtitle settings, and notice that the spoken language is English. In case you're wondering, that's the language that I'm trying to speak. And again, I'm sorry about the vibrations or reverberations. Again, we must be having some awful sound issues tonight from GoToMeeting, and I apologize for that. But notice now you can have a subtitle language. You can pick English if you like, but for right now, I'm just going to pick Spanish. Okay? I can put them on the bottom, overlay. That's as easy as that, and you can play with this. But now, if I start from the current slide, good evening. We're glad you are here. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Hello, Gene.
And I'm going to finish right there. Okay. And you can see that this little hint might be cool for, first of all, for people who don't hear well, or you can translate it for if you have a show that you wish to show to parents who are not all English-speaking parents. Maybe you have a Spanish-speaking group or something like that. And also, these settings, as you can see, these languages, there are any number of different languages that you can select from that, okay? Tell Roger we hear him. Roger, you're supposed to be here, but I don't hear you, okay? So I don't know what's happening, but I'll tell you what, why don't I do my thing, then I'll let you do yours, and I'm not hearing you, okay?
Hello.
So anyhow, why don't I proceed, and then Raj, if you don't mind, we'll send a text back and forth. And
Can you hear me now?
Okay, we'll work it out. Anyhow, that was just one little thing. Roger says hello. Okay. All right. Anyhow, okay. We are doing all kinds of technology tonight. If you have any questions, again, you can put them down here in the little question box. Hey, well, to get started, I guess, I'd like to show you some things that I've picked up during the week. Let's go way back to our new time. The last couple of weeks, many of you haven't been with us, but that's cool. And we're glad you're here this week. We have been talking about a new app tool called Wakelet, which is a great tool for collecting, I guess the correct term is curating, articles, resources, and saving them in a very, very easy, simple way. What I've done is I've started, these are just to show you really quickly, mine, and out on the Teacher Resource Center page, if you go down to the Building Professional Learning Networks, you'll see that what we're doing is we're trying to share some articles that we have found that will be of great use, or hopefully of some use to you, and they're in various topics, so that what we're doing is we're kind of sorting them out, and you'll see that these are wakelets. And if you go there, no, I'm not shifting papers at all. You'll see that you can go here and get many, many articles dealing with the various topics, tips for teaching and so forth. Down at the bottom this week, and we'll get to this in a little while, I've added ESL and EEL resources, and we're going to ask for your help on that one when we get to it, okay? But just what you can do is very easily go to one of these, click on it, and it will show you a number, hopefully, of articles. These are the ones that I've curated, collected, and I wanted to share with you. There are, I think, about 29 in this group, and you can go through and say, hey, if there's anything great, you can use them. But anyhow, getting to the point I would like to show you is if you sign up, create your own Wakelet, and maybe we ought to run a little webinar, a 1-hour webinar, take no more than that to make you an expert on this. You will be getting emails from them. And wow, I just got a good one, Raj. I don't know if you saw this. It's called the 30 Tech Tools in 30 Days Challenge. Okay. And what this particular wakelet contains is 30 days to learn some really great tools. A lot of them we've talked about before. Number one is Wakelet itself. And if you go there and click on this, you will be able to learn how to download Wakelet, play with it, use it, and you'll find out how useful it really is in the classroom. We'll be talking more about that in weeks to come. The next day, day 2, strangely enough, Raj talked last week about Flipgrid, okay? And that is a really great tool, app that can be used in the classroom. And it's a really good motivator. Students get really excited about using this one, so we recommend that. And notice someone will say from Google, well, you know, we can take a look at those as well. Ed Puzzles, make any valuable lesson in a video into a lesson. Well, we've talked about that, but also we have TED Ed, which we talked about a couple weeks ago. Padlet, and you know, I'm not going to go through all of these, but there are a lot of things here that you might want to take a look at. That some really good activities, resources that you might want to use. Photos for Class, Khan Academy we talked about, Kahoot, great way for making quizzes and having a lot of fun with them. Anyhow, that's from Wakelet. And again, if you haven't tried Wakelet, we do recommend that you try Wakelet. Okay? Now, the next thing that would like to do, if I have to move things around a little bit, so you'll have to forgive me. This week, I got a little article. We get emails all the time, Raj and I, and tweets and all sorts of good resources dealing with technology. And I found one that I think that might prove of use to a lot of people. And this might fall into the ESL, ELL situation. And it comes from Microsoft. And you may have seen this little symbol in Word and PowerPoint and things like that, where you can translate documents. But now they have kind of a standalone app that you can download from the Microsoft Store. Now, having said that, I am not sure whether you can download that on your school laptops. But if you can't, and after you see it, if you want it, either ask your tech in your school or let us know, and we'll see what we can do if it will be of use to you, because this is a very good little app that you might want to use. It's called Microsoft Translator. Let's just click on it, and it will go through and it'll tell you at first some of the things that it can do. I'm going to let you look through those. And this is the translator itself. Let's see if I can make it bigger for you so you can see the whole thing. Okay. Now, up at the top, you'll see Translate, History, Conversation, Phrasebook. Okay. And over here on the right, Text, Voice, Image, Ink. Wow, there's a lot here. Now, it says type or say something or open a file. Okay, well, this is pretty simple. If I wanted to, I could just go here and put hello. And if you will notice up here, I am, again, translating from English to Spanish. If I wanted to do something rather quick, let's see what we can do here. If I can get in here. This is an article or a paragraph from Alice in Wonderland that I use. Watch this. Control V. Wow. Look at that. It's been translated that quickly. that is very, very useful. If you have a student who speaks Spanish or something, you could put the Spanish here and translate it to English, and that might be helpful to that student, or another language. You know, other languages, there are many, many. Now, if you wish, you could hit listen, and this would be read to you. I'm not going to do that right now because it would be coming through my microphone and you probably wouldn't hear it anyhow. The next thing across is a dictionary. Well, cerca, huh? If you don't know what cerca means, click on the dictionary. It means near or close. There's a dictionary here. You can copy it, you can paste it, so forth and so on. That's pretty nice. Now in the translate, we also have a voice. And I'm going to welcome. I'm glad you're here tonight. That would be very useful in a conversation too, I think you could see. Okay? Image, what does an image do? An image is I'm going to have to make this a little bit smaller, will translate the words on a picture. What do I mean? Here's a picture. I'm just going to drag it in, I hope. There it is. The library is closed for lunch, and then it translated into Spanish. Again, that's not too bad. Let me get bigger here. Okay, that's all under translate. Now history is kind of like a history of what you've been doing with the app, and if you need to go back to something, I don't know how many this holds. Conversation is kind of an interesting thing, and if you have two people with smart devices, pads, phones, and they each have the app, Microsoft Translator app on, you can link them so that, say, you can speak in English into your phone. The other person will see it in Spanish. He or she can speak in Spanish. It will be translated into English onto your phone. I've not had a chance to check that out. The phrase book is also kind of useful in that it will have all kinds like essentials. Let's just click on essentials. And it has some essential words. Okay, let me just go back into like dining. There are 32 phrases here. The name of the app is Microsoft Translator, by the way. And, you know, this is, you know, if you type this, and you can see how easy it is to find this. Okay. Now, lastly, over on the right, if we could, I have to keep moving things around, so pardon me. There is a thing called language packs that you can use when you are offline. I have not played with it yet. I have downloaded and it downloads very simply. Let's see if it shows that I've downloaded it. Yeah, see, it's not even there anymore. I've downloaded the Spanish one, and it's there, you know, okay, oh, there it is right there. Okay. English is pre-installed. Spanish, I don't know what's going to happen, you know, but you can use this when you're offline, and it will help you translate text and images in these languages when you're not connected. So you don't even have to be connected to the internet. So that would be helpful as well. And again, I have to admit, I have not messed with this yet. Okay. Wow. It seems like that this would be, again, a really useful tool from the Microsoft Store, Microsoft Translator, and it's free. So you might want to take a look at that. Where am I now? Who am I now? Okay, I've got a few more things what I'd like to do. Oh, I'm sorry. If you need some help, that's why I should look at my notes every once in a while. There is a site. Microsoft has built a site, a page for Teachers, Microsoft Translator for Education. And on this page, there are any number of different articles, videos, things, suggestions, tools to help you with using the translator and in your with your ESL classes. So you might want to go there. And just to let you know that Roger and I have each put a handout, uploaded a handout. And if you're looking at your little box there, command box, you should be able to see that there are two handouts, and you should be able to download them. If you can't, within a day or two, we will be putting up the video of this show on the Teacher Resource Center, and I will link those pages, put those pages up there as well. So that's not a problem if you need them. And you can get the links. I have the two links right here for this one, and I have the link for the this collection here. Okay, so that would be useful. Okay, so nice tool. Suggest you use it. Now, what I kind of and again, this is kind of difficult not being able to speak with Roger here, Raj. What my
Can you not hear me now?
job tonight was, the way I saw it, was to bring you some resources, ideas, places you could go. And I have one that I'd like to show you. Roger's talking.
I
Roger,
thought I
we
was.
hear you. Okay, and you hear it. Okay.
It says I'm talking, but I don't know that you hear me.
Oh, we'll let you finish. Okay, Roger, you're done. I see you have stopped talking, I think. So,
well, I stopped having something to say.
We do apologize because tonight we're having all sorts of, yeah, I understand that the class hears him, and that's good. Let me know, Jess, whenever he speaks, okay? So I can be quiet. One thing that, now is what we'd like to do is to show you some places where you can also get ideas. I'll be honest with you, I am not an expert, and you are in this area. So what I tried to do is I've tried to, that was not where I wanted to be. This is where I wanted to be. We can find great resources in a lot of places, and this is the iTunes Store. On the iTunes Store, there are a lot of great resources for a lot of great educational things. And what we recommend is going to the iTunes Store. And again, I don't know if this is on your school laptops anymore. At one time, they actually had iTunes on it. I don't think it is anymore, but you might want to do this at home. When you go to the iTunes Store, over on the left here, see where it says music? Yeah, it's not updated. Yeah. Go to podcasts. Okay. These are there are many, many great podcasts up here. And what I did, I just typed ESL and went for a search. And there are many podcasts dealing with topics for ESL teachers and in the area. Notice that across the top there aren't very many, but it says see all. I'm going to click on that, and there are a number. And again, I'm not going to begin to tell you which are great and which aren't great, because that's for you. I will say this, there's one thing that you may want to check, and that is this. Notice this one says ESL Teacher Talk. I thought, wow, that looks like a great one. And I clicked on it, and it does have some really great topics. I don't know if you can read them, but if you can also look at the last date of the last show was 2010. Okay, so they have not updated this or provided any more podcasts in almost 10 years. Does that mean that these are not good? No, it doesn't, but it's something to be aware of, okay? I'm going to try to get back. I'm going to tell you that iTunes can be a little slow. Let me show you what you can do, though, if you take a look through these and, maybe you're going to find one that you say, oh boy, this is something that I might like to follow or like to learn about. Here's one here. If you click on it, it will show you the podcasts. And you'll notice this one is kind of up to date. The last one was February 15th, just over a week ago. Okay? And you'll see the time, and you can just listen to it here by clicking on it. Or you can, I'm going to browse down. This one I think has 100 or so podcasts. You may say, wow, I like this, but I don't have the time to listen right now. Up in the upper left corner, there is a word called subscribe. And if you click on that, you will subscribe to that. And whenever a new one comes out, it will be automatically placed in your library. Up here in the top center is the word library. You'll see that I, to show you, picked a few podcasts and put them here to show you how this works. And here's this one. And for some reason, it just downloaded 3 of them. You can go in and get more without any problems. But again, here's Adventures in ESL. And again, here's January 27th. So this one is being fairly well kept up to date as well. Okay. Yes. And it does, I will say this. When you do this, you may want to be careful now. Notice this says 80. Notice sometimes it will download. Notice these are downloaded. The ones that are later, I think it downloads 3 or 4 of them. And the others, you'll see the little cloud symbol that says, these are not downloaded, but you can download them if you want. Okay? So again, one thing that you might want to be aware of is you don't want to, download too many of them. And again, now it downloads 3 or 4 of them, I believe. I am not sure whether it will keep adding to the downloaded ones, so that in another couple of months you may have 7 or 8 downloaded. You can delete them as you watch them if you want. It's pretty simple. Okay. All right. Okay. All righty. But anyhow, another place where you can go to find some decent resources and work with people on ESL items. You'll notice that, as I said, somehow or another, the store is a little slow coming back. And sometimes I have found out that if you are trying to reload the iTunes store and it's just sitting there spinning, if you click on the word store again, it comes back a little bit more quickly. Well, now let me show you what I would like to suggest. Let's see if we can find it here. Okay. We told you that if you go to the Teacher Resource Center and go to the section, it says Building Professional Learning Networks. What I have done this week is tried to find some ESL and EEL. Well, that's not exactly typed. I apologize. We'll correct that. Resources. And the only problem is, as I've said before, I am by no means an expert in this field. And so when I collected them, I ended up doing something I generally don't like to do. And, I picked up a whole pile of things, and I am not really sure how wonderful how some of these are. So here's what I'm going to offer, and something for you to think about. What Raj and I would like to do is to build on the district page in a good place a site that has ESL resources and tools that seem to be pretty good that you might want to use along with your regular curriculum. And so what I've done is on this Wakelet, I have put down some sites. You'll notice this says 50. Well, certainly. This one says 10. And as you go down, there's ESL games. There's all kinds of sites here with most of them have a large number, or at least a number of sites, links to sites that you might find useful. What we were thinking of doing, and this is, we're going to ask you to let us know if you're interested. We would like to suggest that if there is enough interest, by that I mean if there are 4 or 5 or 6 teachers at least who are interested in this, we would create a study group, perhaps of 6 hours. We'll try to get it so that it has ESL credit. It certainly would have Teacher Resource Center credit. And it would kind of be like this. The first hour would be like a webinar. And we would get online and explain very quickly, probably wouldn't even take an hour, of what the goals are, which is you would basically go in to this one, go through some of these sites and select some sites that you like and sites that you don't like. So we would do a 1-hour webinar. You would then do with a guide, which we would provide for you, a 4-hour independent study dealing with these sites that are on these various pages, selecting ones that you liked and maybe even some that you say, no, these are not really good, and then turn it in. And then at the end, we would have a very short summary webinar, another 1-hour webinar to finish up the study group. If you are interested in that, what I've done is on the survey at the end of the webinar, 1 hour after the webinar ends, you will get a thank you note, and in the thank you note is a link to a survey. There is a question. Okay. There is a question that will ask if you are interested. And if you are, and if we get that, what we'll do is we will make the arrangements with the Teacher Resource Center. We'll post it and we will send out some, an email about it. Okay? And with that, Roger, can you say something so people can hear you?
I'm trying to
I
talk.
see you're talking, but I don't hear you.
Okay.
Okay.
I got an indication
You hear
from
Roger. Yes, we hear him.
Dave.
So you know what I'm going to do, Raj, and I apologize for this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change presenter over to I'm muted.
Well, we want to know if people can
I'm going to
hear us.
change presenters and let Roger take over, okay? Raj, I don't have the thing right now to change presenter. Can you do that? I don't. Okay, there. Okay, Roger's taken over. I'm going to shut up. All right. Okay.
First of all, we have to do a sound check. If
Now,
you can indeed hear me,
okay.
raise your hand. Okay, well, I've got a good indication from about half of you. Again, please raise your hand if you can hear me. I don't know what the other issues are. I was running into a number of technical issues early prior to the start of the broadcast. So I'm now on plan D for getting connected. I have, again, a number of people have raised their hands, so I'm going to assume I can be heard. And if people can't hear me, they can't hear my next direction. But I'm suspecting people can and just are not familiar enough with the dashboard to either raise their hand or ask a question. Okay. As Gene has been talking all along tonight about ESL, ELL resources, and talked a little bit about a proposal we have in the works for creating a technology study group to gather, collect, and probably vet a number of resources that can be used across the grade levels and again across the curriculum for our students who are not native English speakers. They are learning English as a second language, but they are in our regular classrooms as English language learners. So they do need extra support, and we want to collect resources. I know you probably get some professional development. I've had some training or coursework in this, but we thought as ultimate goal, we would create a repository online in the Teacher Resource Center or somewhere where it could be accessed. I'd like to take that study group a little step further if you'd like, and we would work this out through our introductory webinar once we have a group of maybe 5, 6 or so teachers to make this happen, would be to also build in a little bit more use of Office 365 and maybe create a team of teachers in this study group and use some of the resources and that allow us to collaborate and share within that as well. So that may be something that is in the works. It would broaden our study and maybe enhance some of our skills a little bit and get more people using Office 365 at a comfortable level before you start using it in your classroom. An additional tool that I think you may find interesting with your students, you're seeing a PowerPoint screen, and this is a test of captioning. Now, a number of weeks ago, perhaps even more than a month ago, Gene usually starts the webinar off with a standard Sunday night webinar screen, and all of a sudden, as he was talking, we were seeing it looked like closed captioning. Well, that's a new tool, that's a new function, a relatively new function of PowerPoint. And what I want to do is demonstrate it again for you, kind of on the how-to side of this, and maybe say that this could be something that you could employ in your classroom, your students might enjoy seeing, but it also has, I think, some possibilities for the ELL, ESL student. My wife works for an agency that brings kids in from virtually every school district in Western New York. In fact, kids attend, and the location of their campus program is in Amherst, just off the UB campus. And kids come daily from as far as Dunkirk, New York. And these kids are all classified students, IEP students with a number of disabilities, mainly autistic kids, but a number of them from the Buffalo City schools and some of the surrounding school districts are ESL students on top of their disability. And one of the things that they are challenged with is communicating with not only the students who are severely handicapped in many cases, but with the parent support at home, where they actually have to hire translators wherever they can find them. And there are people out there who do this professionally to come in and attend or at least sit in on a phone conference or face-to-face when they do their student conferences and so on. But I thought a tool of this nature, the translator tool that Gene was showing, has tremendous possibilities for this. There's the technical aspect, of course. We have to get people to the plate, get them to the table with these devices. But I'm leaping now into your classroom and saying, here is something that I think you might benefit from in your class, your students might benefit from in your class, and it has this other option for ELL. Students sometimes, and you know, they're visual learners, they're auditory learners, but they're not all at the same time learners. They're maybe a second or two behind in auditory comprehension, or their sight comprehension is a little different. They're not at the same time, but we're doing a class presentation and we kind of want them, would desire that they're all kind of together in what we're doing. And this is a nice new feature of PowerPoint that allows you to caption, or as they call them within PowerPoint, to use subtitles. And you can control the subtitles here. This is in the slideshow. Normally you're in this view of PowerPoint. So what we're going to do is take you to another step and go down to the slideshow tab. And you'll notice over here, over to the right, there are some options that we can check or uncheck for using subtitles. One is either always use them, or if I click that, we're not always using them. So I'm going to click always use them. And then there are some settings that we can make, but here's where this thing is absolutely incredible. Where do I want the subtitles to appear? They can be above every slide, which then again, I guess wouldn't be subtitles. They can be below the slide. They can be overlaid on top of the slide and so on. So you can play with that. The microphone, I'm hoping that this is going to work, as we'll see, because part of the issues I had technically before the webinar started had to do with my sound check and all kinds of things. But I'm going to start the subtitle sections here. I've just simply taken from here are the basic options is what is the spoken language? What language is the microphone going to hear? And what language is the subtitle going to appear in? Look over here to the right. These are the options that are there for you for what you would like the subtitle language to be in. So if you're speaking to a maybe a small group of students who are native Spanish speakers, you could choose Spanish. Here we're just going to do it basically, because this is where I think you might have some use in your classroom. I'm going to run the PowerPoint and keep my fingers crossed that it's going to start subtitling. So if I click on run from the beginning, there's only one slide, so you can do from the current slide or from the beginning. Notice the down below the screen, you are hearing or viewing a subtitle of what is being spoken through the microphone. I'm having trouble keeping this going here. I'm gonna play it again. It seems like every time I touch my keyboard or my computer or my mouse, that the PowerPoint is ending, and I don't want it to do that. So I'm going to keep hands off right now. The captioning that you're seeing, again, well, it's still going, isn't it? I guess. Well, it's still going. The slideshow has ended, but it's still capturing and captioning my voice. Michelle is not here. It's misunderstanding me, but kind of the internal engine that's running in this is artificial intelligence. There's a component here in Microsoft that they're employing to allow it to this engine to allow it to parse what I'm saying. You'll notice very few misspellings. No doubt it doesn't know my voice, but it will be learning my voice and so on. I'm going to go back here and let's just change the language and see. Now, this is something that Dave Glahey and I were at a presentation a couple weeks ago, and the fellow from Microsoft was talking to the entire group on his screen, on the smartboard screen. He was captioning all of his conversation, his presentation to us, but the microphone was so sensitive on his PC that it was able to pick up and caption questions and conversations throughout the room as we were interacting with him and his presentation. So I'm thinking this may have some application in your classroom, and I think students might enjoy doing this. Now, we know we have the dictation tools, we have read aloud tools, we have voice to text options now, all of which I think in an ELL say context have some great possibilities that your students, I think, would really be interested in. Now, I'm using one of the things that I did for my plan B tonight, or actually I'm on plan C or D. I had to plug in my earbuds from my smartphone. So if you are hearing me, and I hope you are, I've just got my earbuds plugged in. I'm talking through the microphone that's attached to the cord of the earbuds. I gave up on the headset and all of that stuff going on. But this I think has some definite application. It's built into the PowerPoint. And again, if you go to the slideshow and over here, you can always use the subtitle. But the subtitle setting, let's just change it to a language, as Jean showed us with Translator. Let's try French. Okay, and then let's start the slideshow and see if it's captioning my voice in French. I've never taken a course in French. I've never taken a lesson in French. But as you can see, and I guess if you have taken courses, you would assume that it's translating me pretty much word for word, almost simultaneously as I am speaking here. Pretty impressive. I think we have to have kids playing with language in the classroom. Playing with English. Let them see their voice in subtitles. Let them use their voices in a number of different ways, in a voice to text translations on a piece of paper in Microsoft Word. Play it back so they can hear themselves. I think this allows them to try some things they might not normally do with language. Now, we've talked about the immersive reader and its various functions, and we'll talk about it again and again and again. Just what a terrific tool that is for second language learners, English language learners, for the kids who have difficulty dealing with text in your classroom. You can take a piece of text and you can put it into the immersive reader, and it can be read to the student at a slower pace. It can be read a line at a time. It can have a word focus. It can have a built-in picture dictionary. That would work for our native English speakers, but for that ELL student who is struggling with the language, that has some great possibilities as well, along with all of this. I want to go back to a couple of things that Jean was talking about here. But again, this is built into PowerPoint. I threw up one slide, and you saw how it was doing a pretty good job of translating. And again, I think this may have some use for you in your classroom. I would hope so. Find a use for it. You can put text up there and do a number of things. Jean mentioned our newfound curation tool called Wakelet. And going back a month or two when we first formally introduced it, I started putting on my district web page collections of Wakelet. It's a social bookmarking, but it's a lot more than that. It's really a huge program that's growing in terms of use and in terms of how dynamic it is, and tools you can embed video, you can put files in it now. We're just learning as it's growing for its possibilities. So we're starting to use it where we used to use a lot of something called Flipboard. Now I'm collecting, as I look every day at my various resources, a link, something I want to preserve. So, and that's using the tool Wakelet. On my district web page, which, as I keep reminding people, in any of the schools, wherever you teach, you have a list of teacher web pages. So you pick a school. If you go to, I'll just show you that we are there. If you go to Harry F. Abbott, where I'm going now, I hope, and you go to the teacher web pages at Harry F. Abbott, and this is true for pretty much every school district. It looks like maybe, there we go, Harry F. Abbott, teacher web pages. Go down here, I'm still on Abbott. If you look at, here I am, Gene Colbago is here, over here. If you click, you can get to our page. You don't need to know our web address or anything. You click here from any of the district schools. You will go to my web page, Gene's web page. So you can look at my resources. I'm kind of trying them out here before I think they're ready for prime time. And again, here we are. This brings you back to my main collection, which is actually hosted on the Niagara Falls web page, but again, it's accessible from any school. So here's where I talk about Wakelet in general, and there's a nice downloadable booklet there that tells you just about everything you need to know about working with Wakelet. Here is what I just put up in the last couple of days, a Wakelet collection, very similar to Gene's. And I actually used an embed code for that. So let's see, here is ELL. And there I've just went through, put out about 13 different resources that I thought were worth a look. And by clicking the universal go forward, go back arrows here, you'll look at the different resources that are out here for ELL, ESL. I tried to concentrate mostly on the ELL side. These are English language learners, kids in your classroom who are learning English and not native speakers of English. They probably also have the support of an ESL teacher in the district as well. So here we are looking at a number of resources. I like this one. I keep coming back. Gene has mentioned it a couple times, using Flipgrid as a resource as well for a lot of the things that we do. So I strongly encourage you to look over these as well as the ones that Gene has provided. These are just links. This will take you obviously to the website itself. And it's accessing me. Oh, maybe not. I probably shouldn't have linked on that.
Raj,
but,
I can hear you, by the way.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
I was trying to do sign language, but of course you couldn't see that.
Yeah, the smoke, no, it didn't work.
No, okay. The smoke in the mirror, so I was doing that too. This is the resource where I found it on my Twitter account. I have basically that's where I find most of my resources, aside from some blogs and things. Gene also mentioned the handouts tonight. Again, use this as a resource. Go into, again, my web page or Gene's web page and look for the Wakelet collection. I give you a heads up that that's what it is. Here we are for tonight. And then on the handout tonight, this is 90% of what I did the first time we talked about this topic, but I upgraded a couple of things here. I tried the links again. I'm a little leery of things, you know, something like, you know, incredibly useful links. Okay, useful links, or the 10 greatest, the most, that kind of stuff. Because anyway, but Larry Ferlazzo, when he says the best resources, I get in his opinion, this guy's been working in his main curriculum area is working with ESL students and teachers, and this guy presents all over the country at conferences here, there, and everywhere, and this is his main gig, is supporting ESL resources, and he's been doing it for a number of years, and he always puts out the best of for the year and so on. Again, this is in his opinion, but I'd like you to take a look at those when you get a chance. If you download and open up this Word document, actually it's I think I uploaded a PDF version of it, but the PDF versions still allow you to use the hyperlinks to get out to the resource itself. This is a fairly recent one. The one in Edutopia, which is a pretty good resource for everything that works in the classroom. It's the George Lucas Education Foundation, and let's see if it will go there. And this is a collection of resources for English language learners, fairly recent. It's a collection. Now, this collection itself looks like it might be, you know, Wakelet-like in terms of how it functions. But I urge you to click on that link. And if you have an interest in this area, go through it. And most of these resources don't exclude native English speakers. The 95, 99% of the kids in your class would benefit from these resources. I liked this one as some games for language learners, but early on, and you know, let's put it in a game atmosphere, reduce some of that anxiety and tension in our students, and let them play a game using it. So there are some excellent resources there, I think. Again, I hesitate to say, you know, some of the best, but they are excellent. One, and again, in my opinion, I want to go back to, let's see if I can find it here. I'm going to go back. This one I pointed out last time, and if the links are still working tonight, again, I was having all kinds of internet difficulties. ELL resources by grade, and this is a Colorado. I don't like the way my screen is behaving here. You can go to, let's see. You can go to one of the tabs on this resource. Here we go, and go by grade level for different resources. This is, I thought, a very comprehensive look. It's got the imprimatur of a number of organizations that they give the stamp of approval for the resources here. But a number of resources here, and one of these links lets you pick a skill and a strategy, a best practice for a grade level, and drill right down strategies and tools, drill right down to a specific grade level with some ideas. Some of them are upper grade, lower grades, and so on. But I strongly suggest, if you're interested in this, and again, you might want to put this on the back burner if you're interested in ELL and ESL resources, join our study group, and we'll take a look at all this. We'll piecemeal it out and put it all together at the end and put a showcase of ELL resources on the most appropriate website, whether it's technology resources for teachers or on the TRC page, or just share it among ourselves. But the best thing to do is to let's get together, let's vet some of these, try some of them out, and then you can speak to it within the context of the study group, and we'll put it out there and see what happens. And if this works, we can try this with a number of other areas as well. Gene, I see we're about the magic hour here.
Yes, and I hope.
I don't know how well I was coming across. I was in my
You know
earbuds,
what?
my phone, and so on. So.
You would not believe what I think. I figured out what happened, and I'll talk to you about it later. I don't know why it happened, but it's interesting. Anyhow, thank you everybody for joining us. Again, in 1 hour, you'll be getting a thank you email for joining the webinar tonight. We invite you to open that and to complete the survey. Please do that. And the last question deals with the interest in the study group. And we hope we can get enough people to do this, because I think it would be of some value. And with that, we'll say good night.
Well, I just want to give a little promo for next week. They'll be seeing it in the email this week. I don't know how far out we want to go with our webinars, Gene, in the coming weeks and months, because we've got some special invitations out there for some people. But next week, if you're in the classroom and you're an elementary teacher, you may have heard of Nearpod, or you may have attended a faculty meeting with it, or you may know Ed Maynard, who may or may not have been in your classroom yet to work with Nearpod. But Ed has agreed to talk to us next Sunday night in the webinar and give a broadcast demo and understanding questions and answers about Nearpod, which is really a pretty engaging tool and a lot of fun, and teachers are embracing it. But you might benefit from an overview of it. So that will be next week as well. Okay. So with that, Gene, I think I can uncross my fingers.
And thank you for everybody putting up with our little technical glitches. I think we got them straightened out finally, and I'm glad to hear that. And again, we hope you'll consider joining us next Sunday, and hope everybody has a great week. So good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.